Welcome into Snow The Goalie. We are live at Chickie's and Pete's in Glassboro, New Jersey. Gentlemen, we are mere days away from the NHL trade deadline. It is not tomorrow. It is the day after tomorrow.
It's about 30, no, a little bit more than that.
You were about to try to do math, weren't you?
I was. Then I realized what time it was. It's about 45 hours away.
Yep.
Yeah.
45 hours from
right now.
From figuring out whether or not this team is going to stand pat at the deadline. Are they going to make a couple of moves along the fringes? Could we potentially see a blockbuster of sorts? Unlikely coming in, but could they send a couple of roster players out? We will find that out, as Ann said, in about 45 hours. What?
No, I'm yelling at Andrew.
Why?
I'm yelling at Andrew.
Why are you after the intern? What do you do now? What's his problem?
No,
what?
The comments that he puts up right away.
Oh, did he put negative comments up to start the show?
Yes, he did.
Of course he did. Of course he did.
Yes.
He's got to make it about himself. Can you believe that?
Yes.
Can you believe this guy?
So,
they got crab fries.
They did.
We did. We are here at Chickies and Pete's in Glassboro. I have to tell you that there was a violation committed tonight. Before we get into the hockey talk, and God bless you, Bundy. Bless your heart, bless your soul.
Got the sneezes, guys.
I got to tell you.
It's all good.
We had a violation, and we'll talk about this more when we talk about being here at Chickies and Pete's and all the wonderful things you can get. Typically, right, we have a basket of crab fries. That is pretty much.
It's been a staple.
It is a staple of what we do. We may switch out on sandwiches and everything, and there are very few things in this life that I expect when we get to our location.
Yeah.
Anthony SanFilippo pulled an ultimate switcheroo. He pulled a bait and switch. I sat down, and did I see crab fries? Nay. What did you do tonight?
Well, since you were, this is what happens when you're not here first.
Correct.
Right? When you're the last one to arrive.
I'm usually
someone else orders your food for you.
Yeah.
Instead, today I got the Krabby Sweets.
Explain to the people what the Krabby Sweets are.
They're sweet potato fries, and they give you, instead of just the traditional cheese dipping sauce, they give you a cinnamon maple dipping sauce as well. Right?
Yeah.
And you've dug into these, and you've been pretty impressed.
I like a good sweet potato fry.
Yes.
I do.
They're good sometimes.
But I don't know if it's what I expected.
Of course it's not what you expected.
And you know what? I feel like that's how the trade deadline might ultimately land for Flyers fans, too. If you're expecting, for example, some crab fries, maybe you're thinking Rasmus Ristolainen gets traded. That feels kind of on par with what Danny Briere has done the last few trade deadlines. Of course, the Scott Lawton move, that was a big-ish move, right? First-round pick Nikita Grabenkin. The year before, they moved Walker, right, while they're in the midst of the fake playoff run. They go and they make that move. They get rid of Walker, and they get a first back. So if you're expecting the Flyers to move a roster player and get a first-round pick back, that's like getting crab fries. But what we might end up getting is something else entirely. And it doesn't mean that it's not good. It could actually be very good in its own way. But could this trade deadline be more like what are they called, Krabby Sweets?
Krabby Sweets could be something different than what people are expecting. Look,
I think the biggest thing before Anthony gives you a couple tidbits here on what's going on, you can't trade six guys. That's the first thing. So, I mean, I think we were discussing earlier, realistically, if you're looking at this Flyers team, just from my standpoint right now, I think you can't lose more than two guys.
Right.
If that would be the maximum that you can make for a trade.
Right. That's probably about right. And I think that's fair. And I don't even know if they get to two, to be honest with you. I mean, they may. They certainly may. I'm not saying they're not. But I also wonder if they can get to two. The big deal that happened as we were driving down here to beautiful Glassboro, New Jersey, is the St. Louis Blues have agreed in principle to trade Colton Parayko to the Buffalo Sabres. Now, there's a caveat to this. Parayko has a no-trade clause. He's got to be willing to waive it. There seems to be belief that he will, but he has not yet waived it. And this is about, we're, I don't know, an hour and a half since that trade's been announced or has been broken. So you would think that you might hear something by now, but we haven't. And wouldn't be the first time that a Blues defenseman didn't waive a no-trade clause. Troy Krug. And in return, the Blues will get from the Sabres, who a lot of people thought, were the team that was interested in Rasmus Ristolainen, a first-round pick. I believe it's next year. It might be this year's first-round pick. I haven't.
Don't get caught up in semantics. Keep going.
And Radim Merka, who was their first-round pick.
Yeah.
Czech defenseman that they drafted last year. He's playing for Seattle in the Western Hockey League. So, in some ways, you look at that and say, well, the bar's now been set, right? You get these right-shot defensemen are going off the board. It's a one plus a high-end prospect, like an A-level prospect, is what the going rate is. And that's not a surprise. We saw that last year for Brandon Carlo.
Yep.
right? That one was a 1, a 4, and Fraser Minton. I mean, it was more, right?
Minton, who was the guy that the Flyers coveted, and I think a lot of teams in the league did.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of set the market. But a few teams now that were interested in defensemen have added them already. Mm-hmm. And there's Ristolainen still sitting on the Flyers. It doesn't mean that there's not teams that are still interested. We heard Boston before. I don't know how real that is, but that might have just been a name that kind of came out early. Montreal was interested. I think that they've kind of pulled back a little bit because they think that they need to do other things. I don't know what Montreal thinks that they need to do. They have a really, and you've watched the Canadiens, Bundy. Yeah. They have a really good offensive team.
Yeah.
And I think that they completely lack on the blue line.
Yeah, and they struggle in goal, too.
Well, that, too.
That's a real big issue
for
them, yeah.
So I think that they need to shore up on the back end. So unless they have somebody who's going to be trading a top name goalie, and that's where their assets that they're going to move are going toward. I don't know why you would back off of defenseman if you're Montreal, but anyway, that's kind of what I heard. And then I heard that the Detroit Red Wings are interested in Risto. The one thing about dealing with Steve Yzerman is he's a negotiator, and
you're not going to win the trade, is what
he wears you down, right? And so I wonder if Danny just holds off rather than settles. Well, so here's the thing. Like, if everybody else is getting a 1 and a prospect, right?
Yep.
And the best that he can get from any team is just the 1.
That's fine. Jettison him.
In your mind.
I'll drive him to the airport.
In your mind, it's fine. But you can maybe get that 1+ if you wait till the summer.
Don't care.
Well, that's why you're not a general manager of the team.
I don't care, because what you end up doing is potentially hurting the likelihood of you being able to deal him. The Lawton thing was almost like part and parcel why you don't do the waiting game. They ran a risk last year, and Toronto was so incredibly desperate that they did manage to get the first, and they did get Nikita Gurbenkin along with him. They didn't get Minton. They got Gurbenkin, who's a good player, not the same level, I think, of prospect as Minton was. They got that pick, especially because Toronto was so desperate at that point in the season to get a guy like Lawton. Ristolainen, to me, has significantly more value right now with 2 potential postseason runs. My question really comes down to this. So, like, Tyler Adams got dealt to Dallas. Dallas is a team that we had talked about maybe being interested in a defenseman. Well, there goes
Tyler Myers, sorry.
Yeah. 6'8" defenseman. Doesn't rack up a lot of points, but massive body. Dallas
plays
was looking
defense.
Yeah. Dallas was looking for a guy like that. Does that now take them off the board potentially? They're getting 50% salary retention.
Yep.
And it is a lower number. Risto's got a $5.1 million cap hit. I wonder if there's a part of this where Danny's trying to toe that line between what's the asset that you're trying to get and not tie up a lot of money. And from my perspective, if you're going to try to get a first for Risto, a first and a prospect, you got to be willing to eat the salary.
Oh, he's willing to eat the salary. I'm not telling. I would tell you right now that Danny Briere will eat half that salary. 2.25 or whatever the hell it is, right? Yeah. It's not going to hurt the Flyers.
No.
With as much cap room as they have with the cap going up, it's not a big deal. Like, you eat the rest of it for this year, no problem. Mm-hmm. And it's only one more year at 2.25. You definitely eat that to get the better prospect. There's no question.
I wonder how deep Danny was in talks with both Dallas and Buffalo for Risto.
Yeah.
Because you lost 2 suitors right there, right?
Correct.
So that changes the price tag a little bit unless you get somebody else in on it.
And that's kind of my concern here. And I do understand, Ant, the idea of, you don't want to take significantly below market value. But, if realistically there's a first being floated out there for Risto, and we know what Risto is here, and we know the propensity he's had. He's gotten hurt every year. I mean, there's no getting around that. To me, his stock right now is about as high as it's going to get coming off of a successful Olympics. I wouldn't run the risk that he gets hurt again to end the season and then get to the offseason. It's like, all right, here's a guy 3 years in a row has gotten hurt in the last 25 games of the season. I wouldn't play that risk. That's just me.
We'll see what happens tomorrow night. Well, if there's no trades made tomorrow, if they indeed hold Risto out or anyone else out of the lineup that they think maybe is potential trade target on Friday.
So there's two things here. Let's kind of go through it real quick because I don't necessarily disagree with you with what you're saying. But I'll tell you that if right now the best you can get is a 1, and you're saying jump at it and take
totally
it,
fine,
right? If you wait till the summer, at the bare minimum, you're getting that 1.
I don't know if you are, but okay.
You are, because more teams are going to be interested. More teams are going to be interested.
How many more teams are going to be interested in him now versus just conceptually,
if you're willing to eat half the salary and you get a Rasmus Ristolainen for 1 year at $2.5 million, a lot of teams will be interested.
How many teams are going to be interested in him that have not expressed interest in the last 2 years at the last 2 deadlines?
Well, last year he was hurt.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying like leading up to it. Like we'd even heard not the fall of 25, the fall of 24, that there were teams that were really interested in monitoring that situation. Like, are we talking about 10 or 12 teams in the offseason being interested, and then you're looking at a draft day trade?
If you're a Stanley Cup contender and your options are the mediocre free agency class, or Rasmus Ristolainen for 1 year at $2.5 million, and you feel like that's enough that you're going to get a top 4 defenseman for $2.5 million, it's worth giving up the draft pick. So my point is, at worst case scenario, if you get to the summer and no one's willing to give you the prospect plus the 1, you could still get the 1.
Worst case scenario, if he doesn't get hurt.
That's any player.
I'm just saying, if he does get hurt, Bundy, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but like if it's 3 years in a row that he can't finish the season, or 3 years in a row that he has an injury, like I do think that has to kind of be in an acquiring team's mind.
They're already talking about it, I'm sure, in terms of the acquisition. Like we've had an injury they're trying to get the price down.
Yeah.
That's all they're trying to do by bringing that up. But I mean, you can only, there's an old saying in the league, and I don't know if it goes for GMs, but you're only as good as your last game. Mm-hmm. Risto had a hell of a last game against Toronto. Like there was a lot of scouts in the building, a lot of people watching him. I think he showed a tremendous hockey game for them to evaluate that one. It'd be a lot of teams, I think, pretty itchy to try to get their hands on him if the price is right at the deadline.
Yeah, and the other thing is like, I think Buffalo was interested, and there's no doubt they sent 4 people up to that game in Toronto. They were up there, and they could sit there and say they were looking at whoever, and it was, they're close. It was the only thing going on.
Yeah.
You don't send 4 people to go watch one game, right? And just say, it's just to go watch it, right? And then who are they looking at up there? I mean, maybe they're looking at the Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Maybe they're looking at Scott Lawton. Maybe they're looking at who else is out of the lineup for Toronto? Bobby McCann is out of the lineup, right? Maybe they're looking at those guys, but you got to think that they were at least monitoring Ristolainen as well. And Ristolainen had a great game.
He did.
He was phenomenal against Toronto, right?
Yeah.
I think that when you look at that and you sit there and go, okay, they went and got Parayko. Dallas, I don't think that they were ever in it, Russ. I really don't. And Dallas, I don't think they wanted to give up a first-round pick. Okay. They gave up a 2 and a 4 for Myers. Yeah. I don't think they wanted to give up the 1.
Sure.
So I think that's why
you're probably right.
I think that's probably why they went Myers.
Yeah.
So you really got to look about it and think about it. I'm not sure that Risto gets moved. And I wrote that today on Pattison. Like, I'm not 100% sure that he gets moved at this deadline. I think that there's a chance he gets moved in the summer, not at the deadline.
I don't even think it's 50-50 that he gets moved. I think it might be a little less than that.
It could be.
Yeah.
It could well be. The name
hold on. Before you get to the name, and we're not going to agree on this, but it needs to be said. This organization, this front office, chose not to do a tear-down rebuild when they had the ability to do so when they first got brought on. Briere and Jones, they didn't do it. They do not have that option now because you're in year 3. I don't see any way that Spectacor, whatever, somebody says, yeah, go ahead, now let's tear it down. Because then it would almost be admitting that you screwed up with your strategy for the first 2 years.
Right.
This is effectively, in my mind, the last year that you could make a move of addition by subtraction when it comes to, we don't think that we're a playoff team. This is our last chance to get a potentially higher pick, right, that you own yourself, not one that you're trying to acquire from another team. And to me, that has to play part of the calculus in this. If they look at this team and they say this team is not good enough to win a first-round series, and it isn't.
You can still get the pick. You can still get the pick.
But I'm saying that removing Risto makes you a worse team, yes or no?
Yes.
It does.
Yes.
And so from the perspective of being able to try to maximize whatever that pick is going to end up being, you are a worse team without Risto. I would take the variance of that over whatever that fringe prospect may be. If it's going to be a 1 now or a 1 in the offseason, I would take the likelihood and the better chance of potentially not getting the number 1 pick, but certainly
because you're
somebody
who believes in tanking.
I just think that you're going to be in the lottery no matter what. I would rather pick at 7 or 9 or whatever.
Are you really getting down that? Are you really getting down that far? Have you looked at the standings?
It depends on how much of a.
Have you looked at the standings?
Yeah,
you're not going to get down that far You're just not. Those teams out west are so far down.
But remind me, you are still able, right? You have a higher percentage. It's a small one, but you have a higher percentage likelihood of being able to jump into one of those top 3 spots the higher you get. And
yes, Russ.
And as a team like
yes,
Utah
so
and the Islanders last year, they both leapfrogged other teams.
So you think that there's more value in 2% more chance of jumping up the lottery than there is in getting somebody who's a named player who's close to being NHL ready?
I don't know what that named player looks
like.
Well,
that's my point. The point is that what's greater value? The player who exists or a 2% chance at a higher pick?
It depends on the value of that player. If we're talking about a guy who maybe becomes a bottom 6 forward, I would argue that within the organization, you've been good at identifying those guys. You've been good at bringing those guys in through trade, drafting them. I mean, for better or worse, they've been good at that part.
Yeah.
I think that it is a better long-term play. I would rather have the likelihood, even if it's a small one, of potentially getting a better player in this draft, because I think it's your last draft that you are in the lottery. I would take that. I would.
I think you're way off on this.
Okay.
And I'm not defending the rebuild strategy because I'm willing to trade Ristolainen. Mm-hmm. I just look at what these other players who are similar players are getting in trade. And if you don't get that same offer right now, you know that at worst case scenario, you can get that draft pick in the summer. Why not go and try and get the same offer in the summer that you're trying to get now? What's the difference between trading him in March versus trading him in June?
I think it makes you a worse team.
But really, Russ, the difference in the standings.
I think that
look at how far ahead of these teams they are. They're not going to fall. If you're talking about going from picking 10 or 11 to picking 9, like that's really all you're talking about. Like you're not falling that far back.
The Flyers right now are 5 points ahead of Nashville.
Yes.
With a game in hand, 5. Nashville right now has the 7th best odds or whatever. Am I insane for looking at 22 games remaining and saying a 7-point gap?
Do you not think any of these other teams are going to try and do the same thing?
They might.
You're suggesting
they could.
Or like you're making it sound like none of the teams behind the Flyers are going to continue to lose. You think that they're all going to win while you're losing. And you're saying that Rasmus Ristolainen by himself makes such a difference that they're going to fall that far behind all those other teams.
I would think he's a good defenseman.
Yeah, but he's not that.
He's not that. I'm not saying he's like a 6-win or a 5-win guy.
That's my point.
But I'm saying it does make you worse.
Again, because you wanted to look at it from the tank perspective. And I'm telling you, I'm okay with trading Rasmus Ristolainen for a first-round pick, but only if you've exhausted all avenues to try and get more than that, because right-shot defensemen over the course of the last 2 years are worth more than that, especially if you're willing to retain salary. It's not good. It's malpractice.
Oh, don't use my word.
I'm using your word.
Don't use my
It's
word.
malpractice to settle for less just because you want them to make a trade, which is you and a lot of people that are in our comments right now.
I would argue that what you're arguing respectfully is conventional wisdom, and it's what this team has largely done for.
It's not conventional wisdom
for the better part of a decade.
Wisdom. It's not conventional wisdom.
And this is where you've ended up. We're having the same conversation we've had for 2 years.
You're going to get the pick anyway. Mm-hmm. You got more by holding on to Scott Lawton. They got more than they ever would have gotten for him.
I mean, I seem to remember there being a time that there was about 18 months ago that you and I talked on a show about there potentially being a first and a conditional additional pick.
No conditional additional pick. There was a possible first-round pick offer from the New York Rangers at the time. Okay, possible. Mm-hmm. It was never definite. It was just discussed, right? Whether that actually happened or not. Again, this came to me. Whatever.
Okay.
They waited a year and got a 1 and an NHL player.
Yep.
They got more for him.
We'll see.
I don't understand.
I know.
Right? Well, you say you know, but you don't know.
Yeah.
It drives me nuts when you do this because you don't know. You're the same person who was on Twitter talking about that they should eat the entire contract when you're not allowed to eat the entire contract.
Well, I think that they should eat as much of the contract as they can.
Anyway, 2 things. One, somebody, and I haven't seen this, so I can't confirm it, but somebody put in the comments that Andy Strickland, who is
as plugged in as it gets,
especially with the Blues.
Yes,
right.
100%.
Okay. Said that Parayko's not going to accept the no trade.
Oh dear,
really? Again, I don't know.
Boy.
Someone put that in the comments, so I don't know if maybe Andrew can look that one up. to see if that's the case?
I'm looking at TSN right now.
I'll pull up Strickland right now.
Yeah, to see if Strickland's reporting that.
If that's true, then all of a sudden, that maybe does that change the game a little bit? Well, here we go. So here it is. Andy Strickland was over on Sportsnet, right? Is that SN?
Yeah.
That's Sportsnet. Says, quote, the reporting on Parayko to Buffalo is premature. Quote, I would be a little surprised if he were to waive for Buffalo. That was 26 minutes ago.
Okay.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
Yep.
So
I would believe that. Andy Strickland.
Let me actually ask this too.
Yeah.
These two teams yesterday, right? It sounded like a foregone conclusion that St. Louis was going to send Robert Thomas to Buffalo.
Yeah.
Right? Like it sounded like a done deal. They were saying, what was it? Owen Power. It was supposed to be there was somebody else. There was another.
Was Hellenius was part of
Hellenius was part of it.
Yeah.
And a first. And yesterday
which would have been a massive overpay.
Huge.
Yeah.
That came out yesterday, and it sounded like it was a done deal. And then today, Darren Dreger puts out not so fast.
Yeah.
Now you have this, and this is a potentially not so fast. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. If you're the Flyers and you're looking at it right now, right, and we can actually kind of pivot this too. One, I think you certainly have to be back in having a conversation with Buffalo, right? Because if Parayko's off the board, well, all of a sudden that does make Aristo a little bit more attractive. And I think you also have to have a conversation with St. Louis. Now, I have not been a big believer in Robert Thomas, the 1C. I don't think he is. I think he's going to be a really, really good good 2C on a good team. To me, I don't look at him and say that's the guy that you push all the chips in for.
He's not. He's
not.
He might be a 1C on certain teams, but as he's not the glorified 1C here. Right?
But as a potential 2C, if it's not going to cost you the moon and the stars, which depends on who you listen to, it may. I think that's at least a conversation you have to have, right?
Well, sure. I'm sure. Look, I'm sure every team knows what they're willing to pay for every player.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm sure that's been like, hey, I see Robert Thomas. What do you guys want for him? And this is what the Blues asked for. All right, we ain't going to give you that.
Yeah.
We know what we'll give you. We ain't giving you that. Right. So yes, if the price comes down 100%, like if you want to say he's your 2C and they're not going to look for the ridiculous ask that was out there from Buffalo, then I'm with you. But I don't think I don't think the Blues really, really, really want to trade him unless it's for something like that offer that you saw.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a big Owen Power guy. I know Bundy, right? Like he's kind of.
Well, he went first overall, but he wasn't like your prototypical first overall, right?
I talked to somebody not that long ago about him from the Flyers organization. They were not high on Owen Power.
Yeah. Hellenius, I like a little bit. I think he's an NHL player. I'm not sure he's ever a 1C. He's probably, maybe a 2C, probably.
Yeah.
And then a first-round pick. It's still a lot to give up.
It is, yeah.
It's still a lot to give up for a guy that's not going to be at top center, right? So that's the thing.
So what would a package, just in theory, and we kind of talked about this, I think, on Saturday, what does a package look like that you're comfortable with if you're the Flyers, right? Like, I look at things through the lens of, what the Quinn Hughes trade
for Robert Thomas?
No, hold on.
Are you asking? Is that what you're asking for?
Pause, Kemosabe. I'm not saying the Quinn Hughes package. I'm saying I'm thinking of
You're asking me what does a package look like for Robert Thomas?
Yes.
I don't think they like Robert Thomas, to be honest with you. So I don't know what the package would look like. I think that they would have to take it really cheap.
It'd be a roster player, right? It'd be like a Tippett, you would think, right?
For a player you don't like, I don't know.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know. You're asking me to put a package together for a guy that I don't think that they really have interest in.
See, this over here, GJG 5087 says Forster, Luchenko, Bonk, and a first. That's
too much.
An overpay. See,
too much.
Here, Bunny, let me throw this to you. When it comes to Thomas, again, none of us believe he's a 1C, but he would theoretically be the best center on this team by a pretty healthy margin. Do you have a conversation as an organization, say, look, we're really high on Tyson Forster. However, he is a wing. We have a glut of wings. Martone's going to be here. They believe in bump, all that. Do you look at it and say, all right, if it's Forster for Robert Thomas or Forster and maybe one other asset for Thomas, but it gets you a center that you desperately need, and Forster might be a really good player. He also might be an injury-prone one.
There's no way that St. Louis is going to take a winger for a centerman. Okay. It's not happening. Just not.
And they don't have a center that they can hand back, right?
They don't. But there's no way that the St. Louis is going to take Tyson Forster for Robert Thomas. I would.
Yeah.
But they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that.
Ant?
Forster for Thomas?
Mm-hmm. Forster and another asset. don't know if it's Lachenko. I don't know if it's like a Nesbitt. You don't have an attractive center.
St. Louis is going to want
hand back.
St. Louis is going to want draft pick too.
Yeah,
like they're going to want a first-round pick.
Yeah.
So are you giving up a first-round pick and Tyson Forster and Jet Luchenko? It's too much. It's too much. He's not the guy that you want to be your 1C when you're trying to win a championship.
I don't necessarily, and I agree with that.
So then why are you giving up that much for somebody that's further down your line?
You don't really have anybody right now that could even fill
so,
that.
So you're
that
giving,
could even
so
fill,
you're giving
that
up.
Could even fill the 2C
so you're giving
role.
up assets just to have something right now.
Well, I think that if you're,
do you see what I'm saying? Well, like you're giving up good assets, just to have a second center right now.
He would be your 1C right now, which isn't ideal. And then,
but
then you have your 2C. Well, what do they have right now? What am I missing? What do they have right now?
The point is
that even fills the 2C role.
Russ,
they don't.
They don't. You're right. But the point is that you're not going to give up your best assets for a guy that's not going to be ultimately that guy.
Okay.
Like you're giving up your best assets. Why would you do that? The only thing better than Tyson Forster right now.
I don't know if they're your best assets.
The only thing better than Tyson Forster right now is Martone and Mishkov.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right? So Forster is your third best asset. He's an NHL quality player right now. And like just because he's been hurt, like you're like, he's hurt, get rid of him.
No, I didn't say.
But that's
I didn't say just because he's hurt, get rid of him. I floated the
rationale.
idea. Well, is there a concern? I think there always has to be a concern.
There's a concern for any player to get hurt, Russ.
Sure.
It's hockey.
Mm-hmm.
Any player can get hurt. Players miss seasons. Yeah. Like it happens. Like I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. We're now 27 minutes into the show, and we haven't even gotten to the real story because we've gone down the Russ Joy tangent.
That's right.
That we love to go down
That's
on this show all the time because it's the Russ Joy show.
That's right.
But I wrote a story today where I talked about maybe they don't trade Rasmus Ristolainen, but there might be somebody else that gets traded at this deadline. And I've heard, and we talked about this as a potential offseason trade, but I've heard that there's a possibility that Bobby Brink gets moved before Friday.
Intern Andrews, look at him. Look how sad he is.
Yeah.
His buddy. That handshake.
The handshake.
That handshake.
The handshake.
The handshake heard around the world.
Yes. So there's a couple things to think about here. So they made a very minor deal, an AHL deal the other day when they traded for Boris Kachuk.
Yes, Boris Kachuk.
Yeah, right. And you sit there and say, well, what's the purpose of that trade? Like, why? What's the rationale behind that? The rationale behind that is you wanted another forward for the Phantoms, probably because you're thinking about bringing a Phantoms forward up. Mm-hmm. That Phantoms forward would be a guy who scored 4 goals in the last 5 games, and a friend of the program was on the show a couple weeks ago, Alex Bump. Okay. Right?
Yeah.
But you're not bringing up Alex Bump unless you have a spot on the top 3 lines.
Correct.
Okay?
Yeah.
They also want to clear a space. So basically, you want to bring up Bump, take a look at him for a month and a half. But you don't know what Michigan State's deal is, right? I mean, they could go all the way to the national championship.
Nobody's beaten Providence College.
There you go.
They're filthy. They're unbelievable right
Providence
now.
Against Michigan State.
I think they're
awesome,
number
right?
6 in the country right now. Nobody's beaten them.
There you go.
I'm telling you.
Friars. Don't sleep on
You know who
the
plays
Friars.
for them?
Try not to laugh.
Roger McQueen.
Russ's boy.
My guy.
That's where he ended up going to Providence.
Yeah, well, remember.
Yeah.
And who went and drafted him? Those damn Ducks.
Yeah.
It was those
the Ducks did, right? Yeah.
They did. I manifested that too. You remember? I kept saying, that's going to be Briere's move. That's going to be the big Huevos move and move up.
Yeah, anyway.
Roger McQueen did
it. Yeah, he's at Providence.
Yeah. Anyway, but Martone is, as soon as Michigan State's done, is going to play here. Okay.
Even if it's for 1 game?
Could be 2.
Okay.
Could be 5, 6, whatever it is. They're going to get him here. So if with that being said, you need to create space. Bobby Brink is a restricted free agent, doesn't make a lot of money, has interest from teams around the league, right? And you're going to have to get rid of that forward. I'm taking the Russ Joy view this time.
Wow, look at that.
Right? You've got to create that space at some point.
Yeah.
Right? Because let's be honest, those guys are Forster and Martone are definitely going to be on the team next year. Alex Bump might be on the team next year. So you got to find space for these guys. So somebody's got to go. If a team is willing to pay more for him at the deadline, maybe you move Bobby Brink.
Yeah, but you never know. You could get into the offseason. And Bobby Brink, he's got a good contract. And you get a bunch of teams,
got to make room for those other guys.
You got to make room.
He's in the way.
You never know, Ant. You could get something for him. You might get the same thing or even better in the offseason.
It's a different scenario.
Yeah.
It's a different series. It's a different player. The contract is different. You have to make room for guys to come in and play.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have to. I mean,
I like Brink. I think Brink's a good player. If you get a good offer for him, sure. What's the good offer? I mean, is the team is the team going to part with a first for Bobby Brink?
No way.
No way.
No.
He was drafted when?
Second round.
Okay. So if you're not going to get a first, could you get a second for him? And is that good value? Because
I don't know. I like
a second rounder. Unfortunately, is not a guarantee.
Yeah, well, neither's a first, to be honest with you.
Correct.
But second's even less of a guarantee.
You've turned a second round pick into a legitimate NHL player.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I don't necessarily think that a second rounder alone is. I think it's a light return for Bobby Brink because he is an established NHL player.
Yeah. It's like the mystery box in Family Guy. It's like you can have a boat or you can have the mystery box.
Yeah.
And Peter says we'll take the mystery box. All right, Lois. I mean,
yeah.
A boat's a boat, but a mystery box could be anything. It could be a boat. And you know how much we've always wanted one of those.
Yeah.
It feels like that.
Yeah.
You have a second rounder who became an NHL player. I don't think you move it for that.
Yeah. I wonder if it's a second plus, like a second and a mid-level prospect.
Okay.
So the two most likely guys that we've deduced this to is Risto and Bobby Brink. Be the two hot guys right now, you think, Anthony, if there's a move tomorrow?
I mean, there could be something much smaller. Like you could see like a Carl Grunstrom.
Right. Or Garnet Hathaway.
Or a Hathaway.
Sealer?
Right.
Sealer, I think.
Sealer's hurt.
That's right.
Yeah. He got hurt. So I don't think Sealer's. Plus, he has a no trade. Yeah. You're not going to ask him to move his no trade while he's hurt, that kind of thing. Like I don't think that's going to happen now. I think that those are the two names to watch tomorrow. And when it comes to Bobby Brink, the team that I hear could be most interested in him, and this is an interesting one to me, is Tampa Bay Lightning. Could you imagine him on that team? I think he would be really good on that team. And I
think I'd be really good on that
team. So I think that there's a little something there. I don't know. I'm not going to say it with 100% certainty by any stretch of the imagination. Especially at the deadline, things change within the hour. I mean, you saw that, like you said, with the Buffalo deal with
it's two deals.
St. Louis.
Two deals have fallen through potentially.
Yeah, like it's things happen very, very rapidly in around the trade deadline. So I would not lock that in, but from what I've heard, Tampa Bay is very interested in Bobby Brink, and I wonder if there's other teams there. Like, I mean, I kind of got that today, and haven't had an opportunity to dig in further, and I wonder if there are other teams that might be hot on his name as well. Because I do think that he would fit on some really good teams as a good third line forward.
I got to go.
Okay.
See you guys later.
Bye,
see you tomorrow night.
You're the best, my friend.
We'll see you tomorrow on the press show. Stick taps above the table for Bundy.
Yes.
Give those stick taps.
Hey, by the way, we're 33 minutes into the show, and we have not done either ad.
I guess we probably should. Do you want to tell people where they are? How about I tell people where they are, and then we have to get his thoughts too.
Oh, I think it's a slam dunk.
The player
of the week. The goalie.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. We'll come back to that in a second. But of course, it is a Wednesday night. On a Wednesday night at 6:00, you never know which location we're going to pop up at, but we're typically at one of the 17 locations that Chickies and Pete's has in the greater Philadelphia area. Tonight, we're in Glassboro. Next week, we are in Bordentown on a Thursday. It's a special Thursday edition of the show. We have another show coming up at Parks Casino out in Ben Salem, if memory serves, and we have a Northeast Philly.
Yep.
And we end the season on the 15th, I believe it is, in Warrington. So
you missed one. There's Drexel Hill in there.
Drexel Hill. I said Northeast Philly.
There is one of those, too.
Oh, okay. That's right. All right.
Yeah.
So, listen, from a week to week, we are going to be at a Chickies and Pete's. We'll do a good job of telling you ahead of time which one we're going to be at. But we are at one of the 17 locations at Chickies and Pete's. Now, you can do a lot of things when you're out here, right? Like, this is the best place to go to watch a game. And to get the, what are they called? Those called the crab sweets?
Krabby Sweets.
The Krabby Sweets, like Ant's eating right now, those sweet potato fries. Or you can get the crab fries. Live your best life. Don't let somebody tell you what to do. All right? Like, if you get one of these Krabby Sweets and you're like, hey, I want a little bit of cheese sauce, you could do that. If you want to take the other end and you want to dip it into the cinnamon glaze, you could do that too. You want to eat both ends at the same time? You live your best life. Don't anybody tell you they can't do it. All right?
Right.
You got a nutritionist who's telling you got to stop eating the French fries? They can pound sand. They're getting paid. They're fine. Your doctor tells you cholesterol's okay. No. Enjoy yourself. You can also get a pizza like Bundy. You can get a bowl of clam chowder like he does. You could do what Bundy and I do, get the peel and eat shrimp. They're fantastic. You can get a grilled chicken sandwich. You can get a crab cake sandwich. But the last few weeks have been doing something a little bit scandalous.
The tailgate burger, which is a crab cake and a hamburger together. It's very good. It's very good.
Ant's thrilled. I'm thrilled.
Yeah.
Bundy's thrilled. We're all thrilled. Come on out to Chickie's and Pete's. The best place to watch a game. They got TVs everywhere. There are so many TVs here. Best place to watch a Flyers game. If you want to watch another team, you can certainly do that. That is your right to do so. But Chickie's and Pete's is the best place to go. Come check them out at one of their 17 locations in the greater Philadelphia area. You can even let them know that Snow the Goalie sent you. You don't have to, but you can. Ant, off to you.
Yeah, it would be, since we're going back to back here, it's time for the Payroll Service Solutions Player of the Week, brought to you, as always, by Payroll Service Solutions. Call them today at 1-866-PAY-EASY. It's 1-866-PAY-EASY. Russ, Dan Vladar, yet again. It's gotten to the point, Russ. So here's an interesting stat for you, right? His goals against average amongst goalies who've appeared in 30 games this year, which is 28 goalies in the league. This is not a small number, right?
Yeah.
28 goalies in the league have appeared in at least 30 games. He's third in the NHL. Behind the two guys that he's behind are Andrei Vasilevsky and Scott Wedgwood, who happen to play for the Tampa Bay Lightning and Colorado Avalanche, who are arguably the two best teams in the NHL. And then it's Dan Vladar.
It's crazy.
That just goes to show how much he has meant to the Flyers. And it's kind of the point, Russ, where, and this is the conversation I wanted to have about him today, because he's been our player of the week
more than anyone else.
Like six times, something like that, right? But here's the conversation I want to have about him. So he's signed for one more year.
Yeah.
He's 28 years old.
Don't you dare.
Do you think, I'm asking, do you think about, and I'm not talking long term, but do you think about maybe, a 3-year extension for him? Something that gets him to like age 30.
I really thought for a second you were going to say,
33.
Do you trade Dan Vladar?
No, I would not do that. Because you don't have a goalie ready.
Yeah, Bjarnason and Zavragan. Now,
they're not ready.
A 3-year deal. You know what I would like the Flyers to do? I would like the Flyers to do something that they are allergic to doing. I would like them to just wait and make sure that the guy having a career year does more than just have a career year.
Well, that's funny that you say that, because earlier this year you were all in on signing Trevor Zegras to an extension.
Because I believe that Trevor Zegras has legitimate upside.
Okay.
I do. And I think Vladar's had a really good year, but he's also always been a career backup. Zegras was in the midst of
but he's never really had an opportunity. This is the first time he's had an opportunity.
That is also very fair.
Yeah.
That is.
And the way I look at it, and the reason I asked that,
I thought you were going to throw the Dvorak thing back, because we could have had that conversation too, but go ahead.
But the reason I asked this is because when you say 3 years beyond next year, so next year, let's just consider what your goaltending tandem is next year, right? Yeah. It's Dan Vladar and
Kolosov.
Probably not. I don't think so.
You don't think it's going to be Kolosov?
I don't. I think they'll sign another veteran backup goalie. I do.
How much time does Zavragan have left on his KHL deal?
Another year.
Huh.
Right? So
I'd almost rather see them make an AHL signing to have paired down with Bjarnason. Give Bjarnason another year.
Well, Bjarnason's going to be the number one guy in the AHL.
That's what I'm saying, though. Yeah. Sign a guy to be the AHL guy down there with him. Give Kolosov, if Kolosov finishes out the season strong, and he's been a good soldier and all that, I have no issue with him being the backup next year. I really don't.
Is he any better than Sam Ersson?
Yes.
I don't know about that.
I think if I put you in pads right now, than Sam Ersson, you might be better than Sam Ersson.
If he were better than Sam Ersson, he'd be here right now.
I don't think so.
I do.
Nah.
I do. So then you look at it and say, okay.
I don't think so, because Kolosov has accepted that role in the AHL for this year. And if Sam Ersson were sent down to the Phantoms,
well, he'd be waived.
Well, that's the thing. You lose having a guy who could actually be there with Bjarnason in a good role, in like a good supportive role. Kolosov is that guy. I wouldn't mess with that. I wouldn't.
Well, I don't think he's your backup next year.
Okay.
I don't. So let's say, so that's your 26-27 season.
Yeah.
Then let's say 27-28. Now that at that point you're ready to say, Bjarnason, you're ready to be a backup. Mm-hmm. Zavragan comes over, but he's got to play in the AHL for a year,
yep.
right?
Yep.
And then you say 28-29. Now it's kind of the same thing. So a 2-year deal, and then 29-30
is very far away.
Well, I'm saying maybe it's not. So that third year is the tough year.
Okay,
that's why I made it 3 year. That's the tough year, right? Uh-huh. So I think if it's a 2-year extension, I don't think anybody would say no.
A 2-year extension.
Yes. So he got him next year and then 2 more years after that.
Because even in a scenario where like next year his play regresses to being a backup, it's still probably not a terrible cap hit for a backup goalie.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's my point. So like I said, I don't think that anybody would complain if it was a 2-year extension. But if it's it has to be a 3-year extension. That third year is the tricky year.
Yeah.
Right? That's the tricky year. And
you know what, though? So, the counterpoint to that is everybody talks about the cap going up, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Depending on what the cap hit is, 3 years from now, backup goalies might be making whatever.
Sure.
Yeah. They are, oddly enough, in a position of strength here. It is kind of funny, and I was talking to my barber about this today. He asked about Vladar and, like, how impactful has Vladar been because he's not watching every game. And I said, had it not been for Vladar, and you correct me if I'm wrong, you want to talk about, where they're at in terms of like the draft lottery. I said, if they don't have Dan Vladar, they are probably a bottom 3 team in the league.
They may be the worst team in the league.
Yeah.
They very well may be the worst team in the league.
So in a weird way, they have somehow potentially found a guy who can be their starting netminder on a potential playoff team, maybe next year, you never know, right? They found that guy. And he's not only a good starter because he's got a really good team in front of him. The team in front of him is okay at best, right? But without him, maybe the worst team, maybe a bottom 3 team. That to me is a testament to how well he has played.
Yeah, well, year. I had the same conversation, not with a barber, but with someone else who asked me, would the Flyers be in a playoff spot right now if Dan Vladar didn't get hurt for 2 weeks?
They would be, yeah.
Yes.
Probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
The answer to that is yes.
Yeah.
100% is yes.
Yeah.
It's just the nature of it, right? I mean, the team did not play well, and maybe he doesn't win all those games, but he probably gets you enough points in those 2 weeks that you're at least tied with Boston for that last spot, if not maybe a point or 2 ahead.
Yep.
Right? I mean, that's just it. So he's such
that also goes to show you the variance that exists. What the heck was that? That also shows you.
Slid forward.
I thought you just uncorked one.
I would tell you if I did. You would also smell it if I did.
The whole bench.
I just slid.
Sure that it did. So it is interesting though, because like when you think about parity in this league, and like here, we were talking about this before. I don't need to pull it up on the screen. People are capable of going and looking it up themselves. But like right now, if you want to talk about Boston's got 73 points in 60 games, right?
Yeah.
A 15-point variance is the difference between being in the playoffs where Boston is currently and being like 6th best odds of getting the number 1 pick in Winnipeg. Now, 15 points is a pretty big gap. Yeah. But given all the teams in between, I don't know. I mean, look, 73 points to 63 points where Florida is. That's a 10-point difference.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of parity in this league. We all kind of knew going into the season that there was a good chance that there would be.
Like, I look at it.
And once Florida kind of was off the board because of injuries, you kind of felt like, man, it got even more.
Yeah, I look at it. I think it's Tampa and Carolina in the East. It's Colorado and Dallas in the West. Minnesota just a step below those two. And then everybody else. Yes, there's teams that are bad towards the bottom. But like that, we always call the mushy middle, right? That includes from spots 6 to like 22 in the NHL. That's the mushy middle this year. It's a massive middle this year.
By the way, we probably should do.
I should wrap this.
I think we should probably wrap this, but we do agree that Dan Vladar is the player of the week.
Yes, Dan Vladar once again is the Payroll Service Solutions Player of the Week, brought to you by Payroll Service Solutions. Call them today at 1-866-PAY-EASY for the smart choice in payroll services. Payroll Service Solutions caters to the small and medium-sized business to handle all of your payroll needs. So once again, call them at 1-866-PAY-EASY.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
I think that you and I need to have a throwdown right now.
Uh-oh.
Okay?
Here we go.
Because we have not really gotten into it yet.
Yeah.
But I think we're overdue. Okay? Are the Flyers doing themselves a disservice? Are they doing themselves a disservice by being so close to the playoffs? If Danny Briere fails to make a big move to get somebody in here who can help this team make the playoffs, is he doing a disservice to Dan Vladar, who's had a great season, a disservice to Sean Couturier, a disservice to Travis Konechny, to Olympian Rasmus Ristolainen, and Olympian Travis Sanheim? Is he doing a disservice?
No.
610.
No, I don't think he is, because they didn't put themselves in a good enough position to have that disservice done to them.
Yep.
Right? They are still far enough out that they have not had that. But that is also a justification that he could have for standing pat right now. Like, go ahead, play it out.
See,
but I don't think you can do that. I don't think you can sit there and say, well, we can add and cross our fingers and hope we, make this 15% odds, become 100% over the course of 22 games. I don't think you do that.
To be clear, I'd probably light myself on fire if they actually did go out and try to make a move and sell themselves on the idea of the playoffs this year. Like, it's silly. There are very few things that I detest right now in sports as much as I do, like Daryl Morey for trading Jared McCain, Dave Dombrowski for doing nothing this offseason. Right in there is the idea of Danny Briere saying, we're just going to roll with this team and see how the chips fall. I hate that. Be in the water or get out of the water. Get off the fence. You can't have it both ways. And respectfully, this has kind of been the modus operandi a little bit for this team. Now, Walker was a ballsy trade because they were still really convinced that they were going to make the playoffs. And it was a ballsy trade to remove him because he was really good for the Flyers that year. Lawton, I don't think impact-wise really mattered that much, but it was still a ballsy-ish move. I don't think you can get through Friday without making a move that signals one way or the other. We're adding because we believe in this team, which would be, I think, a mistake, unless it's a guy who long-term fits a need. Or you don't make a move to get off of somebody and kind of signal to the fan base, yeah, we know. We agree with you of the direction that this season is going. And we're going to recoup and we're going to, regather and everything in the off season. I don't think that they can do nothing. I think that would be a mistake. I think they would burn a little bit of that good juju they have with the fan base.
Of course, look, there is nothing that they can do. There's nothing that they're going to do on Friday, even if they make trades that fans are going to be thrilled with.
If they trade Risto and get a first-round pick, fans will be happy.
I don't think
they will.
I don't think they will. What? Just a first-round pick?
Yeah.
When other teams are getting more than that for their right.
You know what? I'm actually going to put it on a poll right now over on YouTube.
Okay.
I'll put it on a poll on YouTube right now. Would you be satisfied with just a first-round pick for Rasmus Ristolainen? We'll ask the people. Got like 200 people over on YouTube right now. We can ask them. If you're watching on X or Facebook, you're listening on the radio or whatever, you can go over to the Snow The Goalie YouTube channel. You can participate in the poll. I actually am interested. And maybe you're right. Like, maybe there's this whole segment of fans that, like, I just am not aware of that would agree with you. So here, I'll throw a poll, but continue.
Well, I mean, and I think it's because you have to understand that other right shot defensemen are getting greater value, and they're similar players. Mm-hmm. They're similar players, and you cannot. And when I tell you that he's injury prone, teams don't think that way. Teams don't sit there and think about injury prone. If you pass a physical, if your doctors approve that, when these trades happen, right? There's conversations that go on. Teams have to share medical information. It's required. Like, all this stuff has to be reviewed by other teams' doctors and whatever. If the doctors are going to sign off on a player, they're going to sign off on a player. And that doesn't mean that they're going to sit there and go, oh, well, it's a risk because he's gotten hurt before a couple times. Like, that's not a thing. And I tell you that's not a thing. If the doctors don't sign off on it, which happens, that certainly happens, then the trade doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Right? Then the trade doesn't happen.
Poll is up.
Okay. That's fine.
Poll over on the Snow The Goalie YouTube channel. Is getting only a first-round pick for Rasmus Ristolainen enough for you? We'll come back to that in a little bit. By the way, somebody did say no. I mean, I'm shocked. I don't know who it is. I think they should out themselves and let us know who they are. But
never. I mean,
30. I'll tell you, that is the fastest poll result we've had in a while. By the way, we're at 34 votes almost instantaneously. 62% right now say yes. So there is a contingent of the fan base, oddly enough,
because he's worth more than that.
That apparently just
because he's worth more than that, Russ. Yeah. That's my point. And I'm, like I said, I'm with you that they should trade him. Yeah. I don't want anybody to sit here and think that I'm saying don't trade Rasmus Ristolainen. They need to hold on to him for the future. I'm not saying that at all.
Yeah.
And I think also that needs the caveat, and we probably didn't put it in the poll, which is fine, is that are you comfortable just taking a first-round pick, assuming you are also eating 50% of the salary, which is what the Flyers are willing to do.
Yeah, I think you'd have to do it no matter what, right?
Well, but that's my point. Yeah. If you're eating the salary, there's got to be a sweetener to it. He's going to get you a 1 just being Rasmus Ristolainen, he needs, if you're going to eat half the salary, you got to get something else for that.
Yo, if they eat his salary in the offseason and get a second-round pick for him, you and I are going to have we're going to have words.
He would rather hold on to him and trade him at the deadline.
Okay.
If that was the case.
Okay.
I'm telling you.
All right, so we talked about Risto. We talked about Bobby Brink. Tippett is a guy whose name's come up a bunch, but it feels like if Tippett were going to be moved, that very much seems like it would have to be an offseason.
Yeah,
right?
I think so. I know some people have talked about, his name's coming up and this and that, and I'm sure it is. But the reality of that is because he's a guy with, what's he got, 5 years left or 6 years left, $6.2 million a year. Like those kind of contracts don't normally get moved at the trade deadline, but conversations do happen on those players. And it's usually those are conversations to tuck away for a couple months from now.
Yeah,
that's really all that is. I would be floored. I would be floored if he gets traded before Friday. I do think there's a real chance that he's a guy that they consider moving in the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be incumbent upon some other things that they do before, like he's not priority number one. Trade Owen Tippett. Okay. I think it's if we do this and this, then maybe we could make that move, right?
Okay.
But I wouldn't be surprised if he's traded in the offseason. I would be stunned if he was traded before Friday.
All right, so Tippett off the table, Brink potential, Risto potential.
Yeah.
Sealer injured, so no. Is there anyone else that's flying under the radar as a potential?
Like I said, Grunstrom, maybe Hathaway. The thing about Hathaway, he's got another year left on his contract. But you know what? Like, teams sometimes are looking for that kind of fourth-line player.
Yeah.
A veteran who's willing to play that role, willing to just be like a 9-minute guy in the postseason, play big physical style game, kind of stir things up a little bit. I know he's not scoring. He's had a down year, but I could potentially see somebody saying yes on Gardner Hathaway. Yeah. Possible.
There's no chance that they move Christian Dvorak.
No, and the reason I say that
because it's a bad look from an organizational standpoint.
People wouldn't sign here. People wouldn't sign here.
People aren't signing here anyway.
No, but people just like that would be
it'd be a bad look.
Yeah,
unless they move Dvorak to a legitimate cup contender, and it were expressed very clearly by the Flyers and by Dvorak explicitly. The intention was for him to be here, but team stepped up, crazy package. Flyers found it impossible to say no. And Dvorak said, you know what? As much as I wanted to play in Philadelphia, I have a legitimate chance to win a cup this year. I think it's the only way.
Yeah.
Right? Like just in terms of the optics of that kind of move. And that won't happen.
Yeah, no. And I'm getting killed yet again because I'm saying people won't sign here. There's no free agents to sign here. It's not the point. The point is that players around the league talk.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, hey,
Connor McDavid will not sign
if I get to free agency, is Philadelphia a legitimate destination? Now, and if well, did you see? Do you remember what they did to Christian Dvorak? Signed him to this contract, and then thought he, gave him a no trade clause, and then they traded him right before his no trade clause kicked in. Blah blah blah. How that's terrible. You shouldn't do that to a guy in his whatever situation like that. Though that's what I mean by that. That's when you say it's a bad look, and then guys will remember things like that. Mm-hmm. Treating players the right way is a very, very important thing. I had this conversation with a guy on another podcast today, and he asked me. He said, are the Flyers an organization that players would want to come to? And I said, well, here's how you look at it. The Flyers treat their players well. It's a great area to live. Travel is very easy here as opposed to most of the rest of the league. Mm-hmm. Being in the Northeast is a huge advantage. They practice in New Jersey City. They don't have to pay Philadelphia City wage tax. It's not the same as playing in Florida or Texas, but it is a benefit, right? Yeah. You get to keep a little bit more of your money. Players do speak highly of the community, of everything about Philadelphia. So all the off ice, all of the stuff that, outside of hockey that players are interested in, the Flyers are A+. But when you look at it from the hockey perspective, that's where they still lack in comparison to other teams. And so the idea is you don't want to take a step back in the areas where you are strong. Mm-hmm. As far as what other players think of your organization while you're trying to build up the part that is not where it needs to be. So doing that to a Christian Dvorak would hurt that other part.
You know what I think the actual better argument here is? It's not about signing. I think it's more because signing is impractical. And even like if you look at the summer of 28, right, is Hughes and McDavid again, right? The likelihood of whatever is probably kind of low. I think it's more about trying to get guys to waive their no move. Because you have to think that like there's probably a decent number of players that had the Flyers on their no move, due in part to the fact that like it hasn't been a very competitive team, hasn't had a lot of success. Also, it's a tough place to play. Like, make no mistake about it, like players are cognizant that like there's a lot of pressure here. If you show that you're going to do things the right way, and if you are adding talent, right, then maybe that gets a guy who, when they signed whatever deal and put you on a no move, they'll all of a sudden say, yeah, you know what, I'll waive it to go there.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm just absolutely.
I'm with you on that.
I have to tell you, I'm having a hard time like divorcing my brain from what we have seen between St. Louis and Buffalo in back-to-back days, having a trade supposedly done and then it blows up.
This happens more than you think.
But the fact that it was public in back-to-back days and not around the same player, that's what I find so fascinating. Like, very clearly, those two front offices...
And they still might get something done.
They might, but like those two front offices clearly want to do business with each other. And yet, two deals with separate... And it sounds like the return on Parayko was going to be different from what it would have been for Thomas. Totally different assets. And it still doesn't get... It's just wild. I don't know.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy.
It is crazy.
By the way, the poll results, we have to end it at some point here, so we'll end it now. 58%, and that admittedly is a lower percentage than I expected. 58% of respondents say that, yes, getting only a first-round pick for Rasmus Ristolainen would be enough for them. 42% said, no, that would not be enough.
42% of our fans are brilliant.
Debatable.
58% of them are Russ Joy.
Yeah, I mean... One of us has a pretty decent track record for the calling out the farcical rebuilds over the years.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
So let's see. Anything else that you wanted to get into before we wrap? Tomorrow we're back down at the Xfinity Mobile Arena.
Back at the game. By the way,
what?
Who would have circled? And I don't think they're making the playoffs. I don't think that they're. Yeah, I think it's a long shot at best. But who would have circled Flyers Utah Mammoth as a game with this magnitude at the beginning of the season, March 5th, for the Flyers? Yeah. Because there's a chance tomorrow, with a win tomorrow, there is a chance that they're within 4 points of a playoff spot. Stop. With a loss, there's a chance that they are 8 points out. It could change everything for Friday. Like tomorrow's result can change everything for Friday. Just saying.
One of these days, I'm going to get to root in earnest for a Flyers team. I will. At some point, it'll happen.
Yeah, I don't believe you.
I was rooting early in the season when it felt like we actually talked on the show about it being a foregone conclusion almost that the Flyers were going to make it. And then Vladar got hurt.
Yeah.
And then.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, so we have that on Thursday, trade deadline Friday. And then next week, I'm away. I'll be down in spring training, Clearwater. So you and Bundy will take care of things on Thursday at Chickie's and Pete's in Bordentown.
That is correct. And we'll also be down at the arena. What is it, next Monday? Rangers game? Yeah. I'll be there. Will you be there?
Yes.
All right. So we will be there on Monday.
Yes.
That Wednesday game, that's going to be an interesting one. We'll keep you posted there. So do us a favor if you haven't done so already. Like the video, share the video, subscribe. If you like the podcast feed even better, you can find us over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcasts. Join us tomorrow night at the Xfinity Mobile Arena on all the Snow the Goalie channels for the Press Row Show. For Ant, for Bundy, for Chris, for intern Andrew. And nice job tonight, gents. I'm Russ. Thanks for watching, maybe even listening to Snow the Goalie. We'll talk to each and every one of you Thursday night on the Press Row Show. Have a great night, everybody.